And welcome back to the Hoops HQ show. Seth Davis and Andy Katz now joined by the head coach of the Michigan Wolverines, Mr. Dusty May, fresh off of their triumph in East Lansing. Everybody saw Dusty come out before the game and enjoy himself with the fans in the zone. Dusty, first of all, thanks for being on the show. It was a fantastic game. You guys were pretty much in control of the game throughout. They made a great run in the second half, and you pulled away. What's the most important thing you learned about your team on Saturday?
Well, we stayed extremely poised, and typically when you blow the lead like we did, they make a run and they're able to get over the hump. Usually you're not able to respond, or at least it seems that way. And our guys just continue to play, and obviously we need to be much better after halftime. We made some uncharacteristic errors that gave them momentum and got the crowd into it. So just our guys' ability to stay the course and not get rattled. I mean, we've got some pretty even killed guys as is, so that's what they did.
Dusty, you are 2 for 2 at Michigan in terms of blending. And I remember talking to you last year. You didn't know if Danny Wolf and Vlad Golden could play together. They did. You won the Big Ten tournament title. You had a great run. How did you know pulling in Mara, Johnson, Lendeborg, Cadeau with, Gale and Casa, all the different pieces? How did you know they would fit?
Because they're all good. I think when you have really talented players that are also smart and competitive, then you can figure out ways to win. Our game is so complex now. There's so many different styles of play, offensively, defensively, so many different ways to do it, that there is a format that can be done in any way you want to do it. It's been done before. It's not like you're reinventing anything. And now it takes some time to do some research and homework on it. But we just thought those guys were all incredibly skilled, talented. And then we competed against Yaxel and we're friends with those guys at UAB with Coach Kennedy and whatnot. So we knew that you could put him all over the court and use him as a wing. You could use him as a big. And the only thing that makes it truly unique is I think all three of those guys played the 5 at their last school, but it shows that they've worked really hard to expand their games and add more versatility. But Aday's an elite passer. Merez Johnson continues to improve in all facets, but he's a junkyard dog. And then Yax is a connector and a superstar who's incredibly unselfish. So I think that they all kind of have these unique qualities that just mix well together. And then Cadeau is a table setter. He's a true point guard. And like Merez, he's a psycho competitor. So I think those things are probably as important as anything.
I want to follow up on that because it's really important. You keep saying this guy's a psycho competitor, and first of all, what kind of homework are you doing on that to really decide that? And then also, how can you be sure that a guy's going to be a psycho competitor after you give him hypothetically $2 million?
Well, you're never sure. And with all those guys, we were leaning on their former staffs. We were leaning on their high school coaches, their prep school coaches, and you're trying to get as much information in a short period of time as you can. Fortunately, we see these guys play so much now with the leagues being so big. And so you've seen them play 5 to 10 times each. For example, I didn't know anything about Merez Johnson as a person, but I'd watched him play, and unless he was the village idiot, we wanted him. I mean, as soon as his name went in the portal, just because of we knew how he played the game. And then after that, it's just trying to figure out if he's a good fit for your place culturally or whatnot. But we're also very flexible with how we do things. We spend a lot of time in the summer still. We're getting to know our guys. We're competing every day, so we see the levels that they can compete with and do every day. And then also some guys who aren't that are more skilled and maybe have flaws. We don't expect them to be something they're not, and we try to make sure we bring in guys that can accentuate their gifts and their talents. So,
Dusty, to this point already, you've had such a fascinating season because at the beginning of the year, you survived against Wake Forest, TCU, and then bam, you go through the stretch where you are UNLV from 90-91, and no one's within 30 points of you, and then it settles down again. You're still winning, you're in close games, but how did you ride that wave from close to blowing everyone out to back to close again?
Well, because of preseason injuries, all fall, we didn't have our group together, and so we believed that Merez and Aday and Yax could play together. We really hadn't seen it because in the summer, they were going against each other because we're trying to get better and improve and compete, and then once we get into fall, we start working more with lineups and things like that. Well, one of them was injured, and then as soon as he came back, the other one was injured, so they never really played together. So it was clunky at first, but we knew that it's a long season. It wasn't like one loss was gonna keep us from achieving any of our goals. So we were still observing, still tinkering, and then once you have a little bit of experience, then you can start really trying to plug some holes and figure out how it's going to work. But keep in mind too, Wake Forest was playing really well. I think they're a talented basketball team. I don't know what's happened recently. They almost beat Texas Tech the following week. And then anytime you go play at TCU, a Jamie Dixon coach team, you know it's going to be difficult. They have a good roster. They've had some really, really good moments as well. So we weren't near as down on ourselves as everyone else was because we thought it would take some time, and also because we respect those two programs. But then in Vegas, we started making shots, and our defensive level, we were able to increase our defensive intensity and energy so much. And a couple of those guys, they weren't defending up to that point at the level we needed them to. And it was like the lights was switched on, and those guys, they just really at that point started covering for each other on both sides of the ball.
Dusty, you mentioned about Yaxel Lendeborg, and this is all relative. He was amazing in that win over Michigan State, really attacking the rim on the road, 13 for 15 from the foul line, 26 points, 12 rebounds. Early in the season, he was so gangbusters and really kind of in the conversation for National Player of the Year. It seemed like there was a little bit of a lull with him. We'd heard maybe that he'd had a calf strain, that some of it was physical. I don't know how much of it is his personality, whether he gets a little bit passive at times. Again, it's relative, but what's it been like coaching him? And do you feel like maybe at times he gets a little bit too passive?
Yeah, we would love for him to be even more aggressive, but we should have just rested him and had him go back full strength. So his poor performances were immediately following his injuries. He hasn't had a bad game since he's been healthy or even before.